What if you woke up dead inside the same house where you murdered your entire family, and they were still there watching you? Most Roblox horror games are just jump scares and monsters. You play, you scream, you laugh, and you forget. But there is one game that doesn't let you forget. It crawls inside your head. It makes you feel the guilt. And once you understand its story, you will never open another Roblox horror game the same way again. This is Father's Limbo. Stick with me to the end of this video, because by the time this video finishes, some of you will think twice before ever opening another Roblox horror game again. What this game shows might be closer to real life than any of us want to admit. One normal night, a father came home. His wife was making dinner, his two little children were laughing and playing. From the outside, it looked like a happy family. But inside that man's mind, something had been breaking for a long time. Anger, pressure, dark thoughts that wouldn't stop. That night, he did something unforgivable. He took the lives of his wife and both his children. The house became completely silent. Then he opened his eyes again. He was back in the same house, same walls, same furniture, same photos of his family smiling on the wall. But nothing was normal anymore. The clocks had stopped moving. The doors always led back to the same room. And from somewhere in the dark, an old radio started crackling. The voice coming from the radio was his wife's voice. She wasn't shouting, she was crying softly, asking the one question he could never answer. Why did you do this to us? He tried to run out of the house, but no matter which door he opened, he always ended up back in the living room. He was trapped, and he wasn't alone. He was trapped. No matter which door he opened, he always ended up back in the same living room. The same photos of his smiling family stared at him from the walls. And the radio kept playing. But then something even worse began. She started appearing. At first, she was just a shadow at the end of the hallway. Pale skin, empty eyes, standing completely still. It was his wife. She didn't scream, she didn't chase him right away. She simply stood there like she was waiting for him to remember what he had done. Every time he turned around, she was a little closer. Every time the lights flickered, she was right behind him. And every time the radio crackled, her voice came through clearer, asking the same painful question. Why did you do this to us? Now, here's what makes this story feel too real. In real life, there are many husbands who have done the same thing. They killed their wife and children in a moment of rage or darkness. After the crime, several of them later claimed something terrifying happened. They said their wife's spirit started appearing to them. Some men in prison wrote letters saying they saw their wife standing in the corner of their cell at night, just staring. Others said they heard their children's voices whispering in empty rooms. A few even said the ghost followed them for years, never letting them forget. And that is exactly what is happening in this game. The wife is not just a monster added for scares. She is his punishment. She is his guilt, taking the shape of the woman he destroyed. She wasn't just standing anymore. The wife's ghost had started moving. At first, it was slow. She would appear at the end of the hallway, then suddenly she was in the next room. Her head slightly tilted, her eyes locked on him. She never ran, she never made a sound with her feet, but she was always closer than before. The father tried to hide in the bathroom. He locked the door. For a few seconds, there was silence. Then he heard soft breathing right behind his ear. She was inside the room with him. He turned around fast, and there she was, standing so close he could see the rope marks on her neck from where she had... No, he couldn't think about that. The radio in the living room suddenly got louder. Now it wasn't just her voice, it was the children too. Small voices crying, "Daddy, why are you still here? Why won't you let us rest?" The house was changing faster now. The walls had fresh red stains that looked wet. The family photos on the wall had started to melt, their faces slowly disappearing, leaving only empty black eyes. He ran to the front door again. He pulled it with all his strength. But instead of the street, he saw the same living room again. The same ghost standing in the middle, waiting. And this is where the game becomes truly terrifying. Because in real life, many men who killed their wives later said the exact same thing happened to them. They would wake up at night and find their wife standing at the foot of the bed, just staring. Some heard their children's voices calling from empty rooms years after the crime. The ghost wasn't just haunting him, she was making sure he suffered every single second, forever. The wife wasn't just appearing anymore. She had become the house itself. Every mirror showed her face instead of his. Every shadow on the wall took her shape. Every whisper in the dark was her voice. The father was breaking. He fell to his knees in the living room and begged, "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry." But the only answer he got was the radio playing his children's last screams over and over again. Then came the final moment. The lights went out completely. When they came back on, she was standing right in front of him, so close he could see every detail of her face. She didn't speak this time. She just looked at him with eyes full of everything he had taken away. And in that moment, he finally understood. There was no escape. There was no end. This house wasn't a prison. It was his own personal hell, repeating forever. He would wake up again and again in the same bed. He would hear the same voices. He would see the same ghost forever. And here's what makes this Roblox game feel terrifyingly real. In real life, many husbands who killed their wives and children later described the exact same endless nightmare. Some said their wife's spirit followed them for years. Others woke up screaming in prison because they saw their children standing at the foot of the bed every single night. They were trapped in their own guilt, just like the father in this game. So the real horror isn't the ghost. The real horror is knowing that once you destroy the people who loved you the most, their pain doesn't disappear. It stays with you. It becomes you, and you never get to leave. If this story made you feel uneasy, hit like right now, subscribe, and turn on notifications.